الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. With chapter number 3 in Kitab Al-Iman, Bab Umur Al-Iman, Umur Al-Iman, which means the different aspects of Iman, if it's correct to say that, or the different things in Iman. For those who were not with us, Al-Imam Al Bukhari rahimahullah, in the Book of Iman, in the first chapter, he explained the principles and the beliefs of the people of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah with regard to Al-Iman, that it basically comprises the whole religion of Islam. And then now, from one chapter after the other, he would bring the hadith, the authentic hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that proves that Al-Iman is not just a belief in the heart, it's the belief in the heart and the deeds of the heart and the things to be said with our tongues and the different things that we do with the different parts of our bodies. So again, as we said, Iman is made of four things: قول وعمل, قول القلب وعمل القلب, قول اللسان وعمل الجوارح. Very important to remember that very well, that Iman is of four things: the speech of the heart, which is the beliefs in the heart, the 6 pillars of Al-Iman and so on. Things aqidah, things that a person believes in. The deeds done by the heart, fear, sincerity, seeking the rewards from Allah and so on. Things to be said by the tongue, reciting the Quran and so on and so forth. And the different actions done by the different parts of the body. This is all part of Al-Iman. The significance of this by itself, this belief by itself, will change our whole entire life. Why? Because the goal of the Muslim now is to complete his Iman. That Iman increases and decreases, increases with the good deeds and decreases with the bad deeds. So now when we look into the good deeds, it's not anymore just a matter of increasing the rewards versus not having enough rewards. The matter is even more serious than this. That the believers, when they do good deeds, yes, they are seeking the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they are doing that to increase their Iman, to complete their Iman. And they have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if they commit a sin or so, that would cause a deficiency and a weakness in their Iman. And this life is all about completing our Iman. Because when a person dies in the state of completion of one's Iman, he will be among the people of Jannah, no punishment. If a person dies in the state of weak Iman, deficiency in the Iman, still died as a Muslim, but died in the state of not completing the Iman, either that person will be punished and then eventually will enter Jannah, or will be forgiven and he will enter Jannah. So it's such a serious matter. So the goal is not just to have some beliefs in the heart, it's basically to enter into all the different things in the deen of Islam to complete our Iman. And as we heard the sayings of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz radiallahu anhu, that Imam Al Bukhari mentioned then in the first chapter, that Iman has fara'id and shara'a and hudud and sunan. Iman is not just a belief in the heart. It has fara'id, fard, obligations and shara'a and limits and sunan and recommended acts. And whoever completes it, he completes his Iman. And whoever did not complete it, he did not complete his Iman. What's the significance of not completing the Iman? That means if a person dies in that state, he is in danger. So that means we need to keep on completing our Iman by learning what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us and constantly repenting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are not in any state of sin. Now the chapter of Umur al-Iman, matters of Iman. Since now we agree that Iman is not just a belief in the heart, it's all of our affairs, all the matters in the deen is part of al-Iman. So what are the different matters of Iman? وقول الله تعالى, still part of the title, ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا والصابرين في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون. ثم يقول قد أفلح المؤمنون. This is the title of the chapter, a verse in the Quran in Surah Al Baqarah, verse number 177, that proves that Al-Iman or righteousness or Al-Bir is not just a belief in the heart, it's different many actions, matters of Al-Iman. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the meaning of which that Al-Bir or righteousness, which is such a comprehensive word, that comes underneath it all the different matters of the deen. It's not to turn towards the east or the west in matters of the Qibla, but the bir or the righteousness is for those who believe, and this is what Iman comes in place. Al-Bir is to believe in Allah and the Day of Judgment and the angels and the books and the messengers. So the pillars of Al-Iman here is mentioned as a definition of Al-Bir. So the word Al-Bir or righteousness means Al-Iman, right, as clearly stated in the verse. And that's not it. وَآتَ الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, and he would give wealth although he loves the wealth. He gives it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is part of Al-Iman because it's part of righteousness. And to give that to those who are related to you and the orphans and the poor, the needy and the wayfarer and those who ask, and to free slaves and to establish the salah. This is part of Al-Iman, is to establish the salah and to pay the zakah. وَالْمُوفُونَ بِعَهْدِهِمْ إِذَا عَاهَدُوا, and those who would fulfill their covenants when they make a covenant or take an oath or so, they would fulfill the covenants. وَالصَّابِرِينَ فِي الْبَأْسَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ, and those who have patience in times of ease and times of adversities. This patience done by the heart and physically, this is all part of Al-Iman. And at times of difficulties, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا, these are the truthful ones and these are the people of taqwa. So this shows that Iman is basically the whole entire life of a believer. And قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Surah Al-Mu'min, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the believers are successful. Who are the believers? الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ, and so on. Those who have khushu' in their salah, and so on and so forth. Characteristics, that is not just a belief in the heart, it's the different actions, and it's all part of the believers, or part of being a believer. That means if a person does not have one of these characteristics, he's not a complete believer. He's a weak believer. He has a deficiency in being a believer. So the goal in our life is to complete our Iman so that we die in that state of completion of Al-Iman. Then he mentioned one hadith in this chapter to show the matters of Al-Iman that is so comprehensive and so many. قال حدثنا عبد الله بن محمد قال حدثنا أبو عامر العقدي قال حدثنا سليمان بن بلال عن عبد الله بن دينار عن أبي صالح عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الإيمان بضع وستون شعبة والحياء شعبة من الإيمان. That the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, Al-Iman, that is our subject, بضع وستون شعبة. بضع is a number between 3 and 9. So the Iman is something and 60 parts, 60 something parts, from 63 to 69, something like this. 60 something parts. The Prophet ﷺ saying, Al-Iman, 60 something parts. Wal-Haya, shyness, modesty. Shu'ba means a part of Al-Iman. So this is a clear hadith that Iman is not just a belief in the heart. Why this is important again? Because some people deviated by having this false belief that Iman is only something that is in the heart, that our actions has nothing to do with the Iman, which is definitely a deviation from the truth that would lead the person to so many different deviant acts and deviant beliefs. We have to believe that this is all about Iman. The whole religion of Islam is about Iman. So Iman is different parts, and as we heard before, some of these parts of Al-Iman, if a person doesn't have it, he has no Iman whatsoever. As the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and another narration of the same hadith in different places, that the highest level of the part of Al-Iman is La ilaha illallah. And the lowest is to remove an obstacle from the path or from the road, imatatul adha an al-tariq. So again, if a person doesn't have La ilaha illallah, which is part of Al-Iman, he has no Iman whatsoever. That means he is taken away from him the whole concept of Al-Iman. But if a person doesn't remove an obstacle from the road, he is not taken away from him all the different parts of Al-Iman. he's still in the fold of Al-Iman. So that means the parts of Al-Iman are not the same. So completing the Iman is completing these different parts of Al-Iman. And this is another series that needs for the Muslim to learn. What are the different parts of Al-Iman? And the ulama, when they, and this depends on the ijtihad and the opinions of the ulama of what are these 60-something, another narration, 70-something parts of Al-Iman. There's no hadith that would say these 70 parts or 60-something parts are such and such in order. But there's one narration that says the highest of it is La ilaha illallah, the lowest of it is to remove an obstacle from the road. And in between is basically everything that is part of Al-Iman that is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, from the beliefs in the heart, from the deeds of the heart, from the things that we say with our tongue, the different things that we do with our bodies. And Ibn Hibban, for example, he mentioned some of these, or counting these types of deeds of Al-Iman, and some of the ulama like Al-Bayhaqi, he made a book, Shu'ab Al-Iman, the parts of Al-Iman. So the more the person gets to learn about these actions and speech and so on, and acting according to it, the more the Iman is increased, and these are the matters of Iman. Wal-Haya, shyness or modesty, is part of Al-Iman. Not just something that is separated from Al-Iman, this is part of Al-Iman. And to have Al-Haya, or shyness or modesty, is a certain characteristic that would make the person stay away from what is evil or what is not good for a person to do. And it comes in the nature of the human being, and it's something that is acquired. So there's two types of haya, two types of shyness or modesty that comes naturally in some of the human beings, which is definitely a very good thing. And since it's part of Al-Iman, so it's not just something in the nature of the human being, it's something that is acquired, because Iman needs to be acquired. So the person needs to have the shyness or the modesty by following the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and this is part of Al-Iman. This is part of Al-Iman, and that is to have the shyness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and from others according to the way of the Prophet ﷺ. This is chapter number 3. Chapter number 4, Bab al-Muslimu man salim al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. The title of the chapter is Al-Muslim. The Muslim is the one that man salim al-Muslimuna, the one that the Muslims are free or protected or safe from his tongue and his hand. Salim or salam, right? The word salam means, what's that? They translate salam? Peace. What's the meaning of peace? That you are safe from harm. Right? When a person says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, that should be sincerely coming from the heart of the believers, and that's why it increases the Iman, as it will come, inshallah ta'ala, in one of the chapters of this same book, the Book of Iman, that the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا. You would not enter Jannah till you تؤمنوا, meaning till you believe, till you have Iman. وَلَن تُؤْمِنُوا حَتَّى تَحَابُّوا. And you would not believe till you love one another. Till you love one another for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the highest level of Al-Iman. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, أَلَا أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَى أَمْرٍ إِذَا فَعَلْتُمُوهُ تَحَابَبْتُمْ. Should I tell you about something that if you do, you would have the love towards one another? And then the Prophet ﷺ told them, أَفْشُوا السَّلَامَ بَيْنَكُمْ. Spread salam among yourselves. This is the mean of loving one another. So, as the hadith clearly mentions, that if we don't find the love among the believers, it's because the deficiency of their Iman. As simple as this. So there's no need to too many lectures about the importance of loving one another, because it doesn't happen by just giving lectures. It doesn't happen by the person making a decision that he would love his brothers. It's only part of it. But the most important part is the Iman. If the Iman is weak, if the Iman is deficient, if a person is committing sins, innovation in the deen, heart is attached to other than Allah, if a person committing sins on his own, that would cause hatred or deficiency in the love in the hearts of the believers when it comes to the love towards one another. people won't see that as a relationship. They don't see that with their own eyes, right? Because it's not a physical mean, but it's something that is clearly stated in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So this is the ease in the religion of Islam, that because we don't control our own hearts, we don't control the hearts of others, how can we bring the love among a community, among the believers? It depends on the Iman of each person. The more they complete their Iman, the more the love will be there. If it's not there, that means there is a problem in not all of them, in some of them, in one of them, because of the deficiency of Al-Iman. And the way to do that is, one of the ways is to spread the salam. And also that means we're not giving the salam in the proper way. Not physically, but the hearts has a deficiency in it. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they never had this in which they would say one thing with their tongue and their hearts is in a totally different place or different understanding. They had the truthfulness. They were the most truthful people. Being truthful meaning that when we say something, we mean it. That our hearts and our tongues are in conformity with one another. They're going together. Not something that a person would say and his heart is in a totally different place. So when a person would say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, he means it really. And what is the meaning of Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah? It's a dua. The person is making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah would protect that person that you give in the salam, save him from all harms in this life and in the hereafter. From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on such a person, and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If this concern in the heart towards the Muslim, that we say salam to, and we are truthful in this, that increases our iman and brings the love in any community if people have this sincerity and this truthfulness.